this is what I gave you the gift to do. And I know if I put you here, you're going to mold yourself into being what the Atlanta Braves organization wants you to be.
And now, the starting lineup for your Atlanta Braves.
We need to put ourselves in the stand. They cheer you guys on all the time, and you're used to the applause. But how often do we cheer our loved ones on?
Reach out to kids that's some of them less fortunate, some of them don't get the opportunity to experience something like this. So just to give back to the community means so much to us.
We want to put their mind on sports, but we also want to put their mind on life.
Hello everyone and welcome to Skybox. I'm your host Craig Corbin. Today we're going off the beaten path to meet some Atlanta athletes you probably haven't heard of. The Atlanta Jugglers Association has called our city home for 40 years. Some members just beginning, others are experts, but they all get together to promote the art of juggling. And twice a week, the Decatur Table Tennis Club meets in the city's recreation center to practice, socialize, but most of all, have fun. We visited the club and spoke with organizer and table tennis champ Charlie Slater. In this edition of Skybox, you'll also meet Mal McEwen, a chainsaw artist with a heart for community outreach. First, AIB's Skybox team visited the Southern Soccer Academy's marathon field and met with Director of Soccer Steve Gummer and the boys U13 team to find out what sets the SSA apart from other organizations. Jim Raymond has the story.
Southern Soccer Academy formed in January 2012 when several soccer clubs merged. Steve Gummer, Director of Soccer for the Southern Soccer Academy, talks about this union.
I was the director of a club called Cobb FC, which obviously is in Cobb County, Marietta, Austell, Mapleton. And we joined forces with another club called West Georgia Football Club, which is made up of Coweta, Carlton, and Douglasville. And the two of us came together and merged in January. We then spoke to two other local clubs, which was Kennesaw Football Club and West Metro Football Club, and then they joined in with the partnership and come on board to create Southern Soccer Academy. We've just finished our first full season, which started last August, which finished in just before Christmas, and we're now just kicking off the spring season. We have 5 or 6 locations, 5 divisional clubs that basically all have their own programs within the club, and all of the teams and players filter up to on a pyramid basis all the way up to kind of like our elite teams, premier teams, and really my job is to manage the whole club on the soccer side. So anything with the soccer activities that go on at the club, from tournaments, curriculums, player development, camps, all comes through me, and then I work with a team of directors to obviously achieve that goal throughout the whole club.
Assistant coach and team manager Mark Robinson explains the difference between rec teams and the SSA.
Well, Southern Soccer Academy has 2 different platforms in regards to the types of competitive soccer and non-competitive soccer. Recreational teams are put together. Most teams are coached by parents, volunteers. And in competitive soccer, the coaches for Southern Soccer Academy are paid coaches that dedicate their time to training and development of soccer players that want more of a competitive advantage. Playing with better kids increases their opportunities to become better themselves.
U13 player Ramon tells us about his lifetime playing soccer and what he enjoys about the Southern Soccer Academy.
I've been playing soccer since I was 3 years old. I started at the Y, and I was playing rec at first, and around like 11 or 10, I started playing select for Kennesaw FC. Then I started playing for SSA now. Well, the coaches at the Y, it was more like daddy ball, where they would just focus on their sons instead of the whole team, and they wouldn't explain it very well on how to do something. But here the coaches, they give everybody time to get better, and they help you progress to your best. I do want to play professionally. That's been my life career ever since I was little.
Coach Richard Bello explains what makes Southern Soccer Academy stand out.
And the level of experience, the quality of the coaches that the club attracts. We have coaches who have played at a very high level in this game, who have played professional, who have coached professional clubs who are coaching in this club.
A partnership is in the near future between Southern Soccer Academy and the Chelsea Football Club, a team that plays in the Premier League and has consistently been in the top tier of English soccer.
It's about having coaches from London, England, come and visit with our players, visit with our grassroots players, kind of look at our club, look at the structure of the club, look at the way we do things. And it's obviously, for us, it's a branding opportunity and a great opportunity to be associated with, you know, such a professional club as Chelsea in England, that we feel that gives us an added advantage.
By playing for the Southern Soccer Academy and their affiliation with the Super Y program, players are given the opportunity to participate year-round.
Cobb FC, when we were at Cobb FC by ourselves, we had, I think it was 1 or 2 years with Super Y, and obviously since the whole club has come together, we've encouraged now players from all of our divisions, from a lot of counties, you know, Coweta County, Douglas County, Paulding County, Cobb County. We've incorporated all of those players so they could all play in the summertime as well. Generally with Georgia Soccer, GYSA, it ends in the summer, but the Super Y is a national organisation which brings players together in the summer in a competitive soccer league. In December, we took 3 or 4 teams down to the national finals in Bradenton, Florida, and we're lucky enough to have our U17s were crowned the national champions. That team was coached by Josh Bivens and Bill Rucker, our executive director, so they kind of brought home the silverware back in December, which made it all worthwhile from the summer's efforts.
Assistant coach Mark Robinson explains the advantages of playing for the SSA and as part of an extracurricular team at school.
If you're playing in a competitive team with Southern Soccer Academy, you're playing with kids from, you know, other counties, other cities in the metro area, which allows you to, you know, broaden your developmental opportunities. But then also, you know, you're going to go back into your high school team or your middle school team and be able to play at a higher level, you know, compared to maybe, you know, kids that are, you know, playing for Southern Soccer Academy.
Their commitment to excellence is reflected in their support of local high school soccer and in the promotion of players to a college soccer experience.
A lot of our players do play high school and have been very successful in it, you know, making varsity teams at freshman ages, those kind of things. We have some state champions, I know, from last year's season on the girls and boys side. And really at the club, you know, that complements with the high school program. We then as a club have had great success over the last few years of putting players in the college programs, playing collegiately with scholarships. This year I think we had 33 to 34 players that have signed verbal commitments and letters of intent to colleges, you know, this spring. So they will go off to college come May, you know, finish with us in May, go on to college in August. To date, we've had 3 or 4 professional players that have come through the program and are now playing in the MLS. Jack McInerney at the Philadelphia Union, Joe Bendick at Toronto, and Bilal Duckett at the New England Revolution. All 3 of those players have come through our program, and we've got a lot of, you know, budding young stars that are coming up through that are knocking on the door of the youth national teams, the ODP program, which is the Olympic Development Program. So we, you know, over the years we've developed players through our curriculum, through our coaching staff. So, you know, we have a good future, and we've got a good pedigree of kind of producing players that can go on and achieve their dreams, you know, as and when they graduate from high school and college.
In addition to coaching, Mark is also an SSA father.
Competitive soccer teams, most families have to dedicate 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 days per week for practice, and then usually, you know, most weekends are dedicated to, you know, soccer games during the seasonal play. So, you know, you have, you know, winter and summer leagues that you play in. Most of our kids play in indoor leagues in the winter time. So, you know, it's a family commitment. Usually our vacations are surrounded by soccer tournaments.
Since 1994, when the United States hosted the World Cup, interest in the sport has grown, and Coach Bello believes that as the Southern Soccer Academy grows, more soccer stars will come from our country.
To me, the World Cup actually brought the awareness of soccer into the U.S. From then, several organizations, clubs have come out and tried to bring these kids into the game of soccer. Most places before, if you mention soccer, they don't really know what soccer is about, but There are a lot of programs out there now. Kids are getting involved. And with the levels of programs you have, like I said, from the micro level, the U8, the U9, the U10, kids develop through these groups and continue to learn the basic. Along the line, the best players are selected into other more competitive programs, like we have the ODP, that is Olympic Development Program, where the best players in each club are selected for a state. The best players from the state go to meet with other states again. They select the best players and all through into the national team, and that's where they get the best of players. It is my absolute belief that as they continue to develop this program, more and more soccer stars will emerge from the United States.
Founding members of the Atlanta Jugglers Association were part of the new vaudevillian movement of the 1970s. This movement sought to bring back juggling, clowning, and other forms of forgotten entertainment to the main stage. Since about 1977, the club has continued to grow and diversify.
We're a loose conglomeration of people who like to get together and play. Well, mostly you'll see people do balls, rings, and clubs, but people dabble in other toys such as Japanese kendama, unicycles, yo-yos, devil stick, cigar boxes, and a bunch of other related skill toys. We meet, for the time being at least, right here at the Community Center in Little Five Points on Tuesday and Thursday evenings from about 7:30 until everybody goes home.
There is no known origin to juggling, but it has ties to the ancient world.
There are some inscriptions in a tomb in Egypt that appear to show juggling, some women with balls in the air. We think that's juggling. It could have been learned way before that. We don't know. It became a specialized performance skill probably in the Middle Ages. Traveling troubadours and small circuses would often have jugglers. In modern times, juggling was a standard vaudeville act from the 1800s up until what we would call the death of vaudeville in probably the 1930s. It wasn't until probably the 1970s that it started to become a recreation rather than a profession.
You might be surprised to learn what type of person is drawn to juggling.
One thing about juggling that attracts people who you might not think of as being performers, the science guys and the math people and things like that, is that there is an intricate and mathematical relationship between throwing the balls in the air. And so there's actually a notation for describing juggling patterns that uses numbers that talks about the time the balls are away from your hands. And so I think there's an attraction to people who have that style of thinking of, numbers and math and rhythms and things like that. And so it is an interesting mix of people because in addition to that, you have the artistic performer people. And so you get those people together and bump heads and collaborate and come up with really fun things,
While many clowns juggle, every juggler is not a clown.
It's sort of been ingrained in people's minds that we're clowns. And as probably the video you've seen, the little bit that you've seen today, shows, it's far beyond that. There's not a red nose in the place. And there's a dimension of juggling, which is the idea that it's a sport. And I like the idea that it's a sport, basically. It's physical. It's hand and eye coordination, it's concentration, and you're using your body. And I like the idea of seeing how old I can be and how skilled I can stay, especially as a woman, where a lot of women, very few women juggle. And I think it's because of society's, the whole idea of playing with balls and the idea that it is a sport at the core of it. You can be an entertainer, but it's also a sport. So a lot of women generally shy away, and I like to challenge that. So that's fun for me.
Often thought of as entertainment or an activity for children, juggling is often mastered in adulthood.
People here in America don't think about trying new things or even adventuring. So the idea that juggling would be almost like a toy And bicycles in America have been relegated to a toy for kids. Oh, let the kids do it. You don't think of this as an adult sport. Or when you have clowns and entertainers, you think, oh, it's for the kids. Circus is for the kids. But really, those skills are adult skills. You have to work and you have to practice and you have to learn. And I think that juggling like bicycles, this is it's not just an entertainment, it's a utilitarian thing. It's good for your heart and your soul and your physicality.
Juggling at home and at the meetings of the AJA provide opportunities to clear one's mind and to interact with other jugglers.
For me, it's the challenge of learning new tricks, and it's almost like meditation, where if I'm just juggling 3 balls, I could stand here and talk, or I could watch TV or whatever, but if I'm working on 5 balls, I'm zoned in on 5 balls. Everything else in the world disappears, goes away, and I'm there in the moment, and I love that. And I also love interacting with other people, bouncing ideas off of them, learning new tricks, coming up with club passing patterns and working at them for a long while, and then finally you get it and you have this, group moment of, yes, we did it, Although you can have that individually too when you hit a milestone, Just a few months ago I hit 100 catches with 4 clubs for the first time, and so that was like, yes, all right, I did it. And so it makes you feel good.
And don't forget to mark your calendars for June 15th. That's World Juggling Day 2013, a day to teach and promote knowledge and awareness of juggling worldwide. Well, now we go to the Decatur Recreation Center to learn about table tennis and speak with a few great players.
I want to save my best shots for the camera,
Table tennis, a sport that had its beginnings in the late 17th century as a British parlor game for high society, is a favorite of Decatur resident Charlie Slater. AIB met with Charlie at the Decatur Recreation Center to learn more about the sport and how he got his start 60 years ago.
I actually started when I was 9 years old. I lived in the Bronx, New York. My landlady had a table in the basement, and that's where it all started. I didn't get serious till pretty much when I was in college. I went to the University of Florida, did some intramural playing, and then I didn't play for a while, and when I started with Delta Airlines in 1970, they have a tournament every year that I got seriously interested and joined the USATT, which is the sanctioning body.
Often thought of as just a game for children, it can actually be a great way for everyone to get moving.
Well, first of all, it is a sport. I have trouble convincing people of that. When it's played properly, it's quite a workout, and it takes a lot of dexterity, eye-hand coordination, and it's just great, and you can play it up to 90 years old and beyond even.
People from all over the world play table tennis, especially in China.
It's interesting. Of the top, let's say, 50 men in the world, I'd say at least 30 are from China. It's the national sport of China, and they'll have 100,000 people turn out to watch a tournament. So, again, in the top 50, I'm not sure any Americans are up there. If there are, they probably came here from China. And they turn out to be the coaches, and very rigorous training, and it's really taken seriously.
The Decatur Table Tennis Club opened its doors in March of 2009 and has been growing ever since.
Originally, the city of Decatur had 4 tables of their own, and slowly we've acquired other tables, usually from other clubs. They're rather expensive. The tables we use new go from $1,300 to $1,400 a piece, and we're up to 10 tables now. We're about to get 2 more from the club that plays in Norcross. They're a much larger club than us. They've been around a long time. But I have been very pleased with the support I'm getting here in the city of Decatur. It's actually the active living department of the city of Decatur. And their support has come in monetarily. They have purchased the tables for us. They give us 2 days to play here. They've been very supportive in many different ways, and I'm indebted to them for that.
To become a ranked player and compete in tournaments, you must join the USAT.
That's the sanctioning body in the United States. And it's a little hard to explain, but you get points basically by beating other people. And eventually you kind of level out where you belong, and what's nice about it is you can compete at people within your own rating group. You can play higher, and if you beat those people you get more points. If you lose to a person lower than your rating,